There are new allegations of excessive force against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin that could cost taxpayers millions.
This time, he's accused of slamming a city employee face down in the street months before the killing of George Floyd. Here's investigative reporter AJ Legault.
January 17th, 2020. Minnesota braced for a blizzard while Patty Day battled life's storm.
That was the darkest day of my life.
A day she's never spoken about publicly until now.
You're not. There we go.
Patty's day ended, battered and bruised, on the 5th floor of Minneapolis's City Hall, locked in jail.
I had a puncture wound on my left hand that was bleeding and oozing. I had my left front tooth was in half. I had bruises all along my arm and my torso and my legs.
Patty was no stranger to City Hall. A former city council campaign staffer and policy aide, she was Minneapolis's Public Works Communications Coordinator, working 3 floors down from where she was now behind bars, black and blue and bloody.
In shock. I never thought that would happen to me.
That snowy January day, upset over a pending divorce, Patty admits she'd been drinking.
You knew quick that was a bad decision, getting in the car?
Absolutely. Within a couple of blocks.
She pulled over. She says she used the remote start to keep the vehicle running for warmth, but took the keys from the ignition and threw them in the back so her vehicle couldn't move. Police records show a concerned neighbor called 911.
And the officers that arrived included Derek Chauvin. They didn't ask me to get out of the car. They just threw me out of the car onto my face in the snow in the middle of the street.
And then he took his signature pose on top of Patty.
His signature pose?
The one we've seen, the one he used to kill George Floyd. We've seen it with Zoya Code and John Pope as well.
Attorney Catherine Bennett is part of the legal team that has already successfully sued Minneapolis for millions over Derek Chauvin's abusive policing in the Code and Pope cases, taking place before George Floyd's death sent him to prison. What happened to Patty is the subject of a new federal civil rights lawsuit Bennett says is yet another case where there needs to be accountability.
Especially from the city of Minneapolis that let him become their monster.
A snowstorm arrest, Patty says, should have sounded the alarm before the firestorm to come.
I was arrested in January and George Floyd was murdered in May. So there was time for them to act. They knew what happened to me and they did nothing.
When the judge in Patty's DWI case saw body cam footage of how she was thrown out of her car and handcuffed, the judge ruled Chauvin never even asked her to step out, had no probable cause, so deemed it an illegal arrest. Charges were dropped. Patty's been asking for that body cam footage for more than a year, but so far the city has refused to release it.
I know you contacted them in MPD. What'd they have to say?
Well, we certainly asked. They told us that they declined to comment on pending litigation. But last year, the mayor and the police chief, after similar lawsuits were settled, said this.
To John Pope, Zoya Code, and anyone else that has experienced this kind of egregious conduct at the hands of Derek Chauvin, our city deeply apologizes.
I am appalled at the repetitive behavior of this coward and disgusted by the inaction and acceptance of the behavior by members of this agency.
To date, Minneapolis has already paid out more than $35 million for Chauvin-related lawsuits. If Patty's successful, that number likely to grow.
All right, AJ, thank you.